Every child raised by narcissistic parents carries three unusual scars, ones most people will never see. Have you ever wondered why your body tenses up when someone simply raises their voice? Why you keep reading people's emotions, as if every conversation is an exam you can't afford to fail? It's not because you're weak. It's not overthinking. It's because your body learned to sense danger before it arrives. You carry the legacy of a childhood where survival meant predicting every storm before it hit. If you grew up in a house where love was conditional, where peace depended on someone else's mood, then congratulations, you survived a war that no one else even saw. And inside that war, you were forged, shaped into someone who now carries three unusual traits. Traits the world either envies, fears, or completely misunderstands. But here's the truth. The very things that once drained you can now become the strength of a Stoic mind, because only those who've lived through chaos can truly understand what inner peace feels like. Let's dive in. Trait 1. The hypersensitive radar children raised by narcissistic parents develop a skill no school could ever teach: the ability to read people. You hear things others can't. You feel the shift in a voice, the flicker in an eye, even the silence between two words. One slammed door, and you already know, is today safe or is it time to hide? Because as a child, your safety depended on how well you could sense another person's emotions. You became a living radar, scanning every detail to avoid getting hurt. But the cost was exhaustion. Your mind never shuts off. You're always alert, always ready for impact. That's not anxiety, that's survival. And if you understand it deeply enough, it can become a true Stoic power. Even as an adult, that radar never fully disappears. Now it just has a new name: hypervigilance. You sit in a quiet cafe, yet your thoughts are loud. You sense the gaze of the stranger nearby, read the server's mood, and wonder if you're somehow disturbing the peace. That's not a disorder. It's the legacy of surviving chaos. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look straight into the essence of things. Nothing can harm the mind unless the mind allows it." You've practiced that your whole life without even knowing. You see the truth behind people's words, their gestures, their tone. You sense bad energy before it ever reaches you. What once drained you has now become the wisdom of awareness. But the real mastery is knowing when to turn that radar off. Not everyone is a threat. Let your mind rest, maybe for the first time in years. A Stoic doesn't react. They choose their response. And that's the first lesson. Not every signal you feel is danger. Not every change demands a reaction. Let your radar become a tool, not a prison. Observe to understand, not to fear. Feel to listen, not to predict. That's when you'll finally be free. Trait 2, the chameleon mask. In the house of a narcissistic parent, there's one rule that's never spoken. Don't upset them. That kind of childhood teaches you a dangerous art, the art of emotional disguise. You learn to read their face before you dare to speak, to smile when you want to cry, to say yes when every part of you wants to say no. And over time, you become a master of adaptation. When your mother was angry, you became the obedient child. When your father was disappointed, you became the little hero. When both fell silent, you disappeared into the background. You survived by changing shape again and again, until one day you realized you no longer knew who you really were. That was survival, but it cost you the most precious thing of all, yourself. Seneca once wrote, "No man is free who is enslaved to the will of another. Your need to be loved made you wear the mask. But a Stoic mind knows freedom doesn't come from being loved. It comes from not needing to be. Lesson 2 is this: the truth inside you is far more powerful than any mask you've ever worn. Stop becoming someone else just to be loved. Remove the mask piece by piece. Start by being honest, first with yourself. No grand declarations, no drama, just one small truth at a time. Say I'm fine, and mean it a little more than yesterday. Smile and force it a little less. Say I don't agree, and watch how it sets you free. Each time you do, you step closer to real freedom, not the kind that shouts for attention, but the quiet kind that comes from being authentically you. A Stoic doesn't try to be like someone else. They simply are, calm, grounded, unapologetically themselves, with a silence so strong it no longer needs to prove anything. Trait 3, the survival work ethic. If you were ever criticized for failing, ignored when you were tired, and only noticed when you succeeded, then you know what it feels like to work, as if your life depends on it. You don't work to grow. You work to avoid getting hurt. Work becomes your shelter. Busyness becomes your painkiller. And exhaustion becomes your normal. Seneca once wrote, "Nothing is noble when done under compulsion." And that's exactly what happens. When you work out of fear, not purpose. When every move is driven by the thought, if I stop, they'll stop needing me. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do your work as if it were a part of nature, without complaint, without show." Discipline isn't the problem. The problem begins when work becomes an escape from yourself. A Stoic understands this truth. Effort is not about running from fear. It's about rising above it. And here lies the third lesson. You were made to live, not just survive. Rest is not weakness. Joy is not luxury. When you learn to slow down, you start hearing your own soul. The voice that's been buried under the noise of your childhood. Work with intention, not guilt. Rest with gratitude, not shame. That's how a Stoic renews their strength and stands unshaken in the storm. Conclusion, transformation, from wounds to power. If you grew up with narcissistic parents, don't ask, why am I like this? Ask instead, who can I become with everything I've learned? Look closely at yourself. You carry 3 marks that once felt like burdens. The constant alertness, the habit of wearing masks, and the need to keep working just to feel safe. But here's the truth. You're not broken. You were forged. From the Stoic point of view, what once looked like a curse is now the steel of your spirit, hammered and shaped in fire. You didn't just survive, you graduated from one of life's harshest training grounds. No one can fake that kind of strength because it doesn't come from comfort or applause. It comes from silent nights, when you chose dignity over despair, kindness over anger, and endurance over collapse. Now it's time to relearn how to live. No more fear, no more proving yourself, no more performing for love. You've already fought your war. Life from here on is only practice. Stop trying to prove you're enough. You proved that the day you survived. So use those 3 scars, like 3 blades of wisdom, your sensitivity to understand others, your adaptability to stay free amidst chaos, your work ethic to rise without losing yourself. Seneca once said, "The greatest victory is to conquer yourself." You've already done that. Now live like someone who has walked through hell and returned with light in their eyes, calm, centered, unshakable, because you didn't just survive, you were forged. And if this message spoke to you, remember your journey doesn't end here. There's a whole community of Stoic minds walking the same path, reclaiming their strength one truth at a time. So if you're ready to keep growing, Subscribe, join the circle, and let's continue this together. And before you go, drop one simple line in the comments. I'm forging my strength. That's your first act of commitment to the quiet, unstoppable transformation already happening inside you. Thank you for watching.